last 12 months alone, we've helped over 300 clothing brands generate hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, including taking one brand from $0 to $1 million in just 8 months. And I can tell you this, marketing a clothing brand in 2026 looks nothing like it used to. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact step-by-step marketing system we're using right now inside of our OSO program, so you know what to focus on, what to ignore, and how to grow without guessing. Most clothing brands don't have a content problem, they have an audience clarity problem. If your content feels inconsistent or isn't converting, it's not because you need better hooks or trends, it's because you don't actually understand who you're talking to and why they buy. So by the end of this section right here, I'm gonna break this down into multiple sections, but by the end of this section, you'll know exactly how to define your audience so every piece of content feels obvious, relevant, and intentional. We have 3 documents that basically go over understanding who your audience is. Every single person in the world buys something because of a problem. If you have a car that has a flat tire, you're likely going to plug that tire or buy a new tire because the problem is you need to continue to drive, and so that's an issue. For clothing, it's the same thing, except for people look over that. They think that because something looks cool or they see other people wearing it, that they're just going to buy. And part of that is true, but there is still a problem that is being solved. The problem is aspirational, right? Who does this person want to be, or this affinity? Who does this person want to be like? For example, the affinity piece could be a sports team. And so we have 3 things that you can do to define exactly who your customer is. So we start off with what we call our struggling avatar. I'm gonna call this SA for short. So struggling avatar, what is their problem? The biggest things that you have to understand here is that this struggling avatar is likely you, okay? So your past struggles. I was talking to a brand yesterday, literally. She has a brand that is about like RBF. Literally RBF. It's crazy. I love the micro niche. I love niching down in general. But she went through the struggle where she just looked like she was always mad at other people. And so she understood the struggles of that and the perceptions of that and turned this into a brand. The problem is if you are not able to convey the problem that you're solving with this product, then you're not going to be able to generate any sales. So what are your past struggles, your past identities, your past knowing? Sometimes this comes from the fact that you were a sports agent. Sometimes this comes from the fact that you were a teacher. Sometimes this comes back from childhood memories or nostalgia. We have a lot of brands who grew up in the 70s and 80s and 90s and early 2000s and late 2000s. They all started brands because of that. This is your struggling avatar. So you go from struggling avatar to unique solution. Your solution is the product. If you are not able to convey how the product is better or solves that problem, then it's very difficult to generate any sales. With a product, sometimes it actually is the product. Maybe this is like a heavyweight shirt and maybe this helps with anxiety or stress. And so sometimes the product does actually solve a problem. Sometimes in the sports world or athletic line world anyway, you may have leggings that are sweat proof. You may have something that's better moisture wicking. That can be the case, but most of the time it's aspirational. So unique solution, this could be a reminder, right? So we have a brand that's for people who grew up in the early 2000s and 90s, and this could be something to remind them of their childhood, the good times, the good old days, if you will. So the unique solution is your product. Your product is positioned as a solution, and then you have what we call a future pace hero. So future pace hero, what is life like afterwards? Typically they're happier, typically they are a little bit more satisfied, maybe they have less stress, less anxiety. A lot of times you're gonna replace the struggling avatar with the future pace hero. Your past struggles versus where you're at today. Previously, maybe you had a brand that was focused on maybe women who went through a tough time having kids, and then Future Pace Hero is the one that's a reminder that they are still worthy or that they're still able to do X, Y, and Z, whatever that may be, right? But you're going through your own personal struggles, and then through your product, your Future Pace Hero, this person is typically happier, more satisfied, the complete opposite of that struggle. Inside of these documents that we have, we ask all these questions about the struggling avatar. We ask all these things about what the uniqueness is about your solution, your product line, your hero product. and then future pace hero, we define who that is. For you guys who are clothing brand owners, we call this a frustrated store owner. Maybe you guys are frustrated with sales, maybe you're frustrated with your website conversion or email, or the fact that the business has been going around for years and years and making no sales. And then we change this into the optimized store owner, which is the name of our program. And the optimized store owner is, how do we optimize every single area of the business? Your messaging, your ads, your email, and you turn into the optimized store owner. If you want these documents, like I said, there are 3 of them. I can send them over to you. If you want them, just comment the word avatar down below and I will send that over to you. They're all manual comments, so we have to individually respond. This is not automated, just so you know. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say a quick hey, howdy, and hello. So my name is Aaron, and alongside my business partner, Christian, we built this channel for the frustrated brand owner, the frustrated store owner who wants to build something bigger for themselves, provide for their family. We're here to help you optimize your clothing brands. And in the next 3 seconds, if you give us a nice little like and subscribe, this is completely free. I'll share with you my favorite gift from 2025, and I'm curious of yours as well. And favorite gift is, I got a bracelet for my wife. It's got my daughter's initials on it. So what is yours? Comment below. So once you understand your audience, content creation becomes mechanical, not creative. Most founders think content success is about creativity. In reality, it's about structure. When you see the right framework, you stop guessing and start producing content that compounds. Here's the 4-part framework we use with our most profitable clothing brands, and it works whether you have 500 followers or 500,000. You'll leave with a repeatable content system that you can use every single week without burnout. Okay, so there are 4 types of content here that you should be using. And I hate using the word should, but I do really think this matters, and I wanted to put this all out here for you guys. Okay, so in 2026, it's going to be more of this. Now, it doesn't mean that you do not need to be creative, so all my creative founders out there, do not get upset with me, but you do not have a framework for your creativity. So there are 4 types of content here. Number 1, okay, is connection. A lot of times, people don't understand what connection is, so I'm going to explain this as best as I can. Connection is a lot of storytelling. What is storytelling, right? It typically starts with a problem, it typically has some kind of arc, and then there is a nice little, finish to that story. Connection is about a lot of different things. You can grab somebody else's story and explain a story. You can tell your own story, which I think is a little bit more powerful, but you do need to have a level of storytelling. Storytelling, to me, is where we get the like. Okay, and for those of you who have ever worked in local businesses or brick and mortar, nobody ever makes a purchase without knowing about you. Typically, they have to like you, and then there's trust that is built. Okay, so we're going to talk through a framework, and this 4-part framework does this for you online. A lot of you guys network in person, which is awesome. Some of you guys don't network at all, and you are just in front of a computer, and so you're like, how do I create content to resonate with people? It is not by happenstance. So connection videos, right? A lot of times, and a very good example of a connection video is a founder story. Founder-led content will be extremely powerful in 2026 and beyond. There's so much need for transparency right now, and so much need for people to tell stories that make things relatable. I try to be as relatable as possible to you guys because 10 years ago, I was trying to figure out how to grow brands as well. And now you see at the beginning of this video, right, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and it wasn't always like that. And you need to be able to connect with your audience. Connection, storytelling, that's that like factor. The second thing is what to do. Technically, we're doing a video like that right now. So I'm teaching you what to do. What to do is, for example, how to style a certain outfit. I was talking to a children's clothing line brand owner yesterday, and she's based out of New York, has an amazing line, and the what to do side of things for her would be all of these moms who are buying their kids clothes, they may not know how to put them together, right? So a lot of her items are actually more like staple pieces. But what to do content that she could do would be how to style. It could also be completely unrelated to the product, but more related to the mom. Maybe the mom is trying to figure out, how do I make a great dinner for my kids without buying and eating out where it costs me money and probably isn't the best ingredients, if you care about those things. If you know your audience, you'll know whether or not they shop at Whole Foods or they happen to shop somewhere else. You'll know what kind of customer you have. Juggling dinner and dance, right? Maybe they have dance. Maybe your daughter is an amazing dancer and you're trying to figure out how to make dinner, okay? So you can create content on how to, what to do, right? What to do if your daughter is in dance and you sell dance clothes and you're trying to still figure out how to make a good dinner and be present with your kids. This builds trust. So we got the like and the trust. Now this third part is where most people shy away. And I'll tell you that it's not a bad thing to shy away from, but it's also, I think, extremely important to lean into. So this third piece of content is called a thought reversal. What is a thought reversal? Thought reversal is challenging common misconceptions and beliefs about something that you believe wholeheartedly that could be flipped on its head. For example, you can't be a great mom. Now this is a very controversial, right? So I'm throwing this out there for you. You can't be a great mom if you work in corporate America and you work 80 hours a week, right? That could be a thought reversal. Some people would say, absolutely, that's not true because you're never going to be present with your kids. The other person would say, no, you're much more structured, so the time that you do have with them is not wasted. I'm not trying to pick a side one way or another. Don't come at me. I know the moms of the world will be on me no matter what. But I'm just giving that as an example. But a thought reversal for you, for your clothes, could be that we see this a lot. Okay, so I work with a lot of Christian clothing brands, but one of the beliefs that these Christian clothing brands have, or the thought reversal content they have, is that there really isn't any good streetwear brands that are Christian faith clothing brands because there just isn't any good designs. Most of them are just words. They don't have actually designs. There's no real cool graphic tees. So a thought reversal could be about that, right? There's nothing that aligns faith and creativity, right? So that could be a thought reversal. This thought reversal gets people to know. Okay, so now we have trust. We have people who like us. We have people who know about us, right? So they found out about us through the thought reversal. We added value to them, so they trusted us. We now shared a story that makes them feel like they know us. A lot of times people will buy from you if they look like you, share the same belief as you, maybe work in the same area as you. There's got to be a connection that gets people to like. Now this fourth pillar is probably the most exciting and probably where you spend the most of your time. The fourth pillar is what I would call like a lifestyle or like trending content. This is where everybody thinks that they're going to grow the brand because they get tons of views. I've got brands that get tens of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands, even million views, but they don't turn it into dollars. We've got brands that go viral like crazy. Met with a brand in Frisco, Texas. So we're in Allen, Texas, north of Dallas. And he's in Frisco getting millions of views. Really, really cool stuff. The problem is they're turning it into no dollars. I mean, it makes a little bit of money, but after everything, after the cost of goods, etc., they can't even spend money on ads because the organic has to make the money or the brand won't grow. That's the misconception here, is that lifestyle trending content, because you get the eyeballs, is going to get a customer. That's not true, right? When you go very broad and you get something that goes viral, the likelihood of monetizing off of that is very low. Obviously, you can get to Mr. Beast level. I'm cheering for you. Maybe you'll get to 400 million subscribers. But for the rest of you guys, this becomes a very small part of it, right? So this is about the sales, okay? And maybe you guys are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, but he came out with a book a long time ago called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? So this is like the jab, 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 right hook is the sales. It's a smaller percentage. If I'm going to give percentages to this, it's not exact, right? We're looking at 20-30% of content. We're looking at about 30% of content. We're looking at 30 to 40% of content. We're looking at 20 to 30% of content. This is about 10 to 20. The problem is you guys do these sales ones and you do that like 30 or 40% of the time and just expect those trends to just like grow your follower base, to make money. And that's not really how that works. So if this is starting to make sense, but you need something more tailored to you, and if you want somebody to chat strategically with you about your goals for 2026, you can schedule a free strategy session by checking out the link in the description down below. Obviously it is free, but also it is completely limited on the spots there. So go do that right now. So ads don't fix broken brands. They amplify what is already working. If your organic content isn't converting attention into belief, paid ads won't save you. But when they are working, Meta becomes the gasoline on that fire. I'll show you how to use paid ads to scale clarity, not burn cash. Most brands try to grow by selling more. The smartest ones grow by keeping customers longer. So email and SMS aren't about blasting promotions. They're about turning first-time buyers into repeat customers without spending more on ads. You'll understand how to turn retention into a profit lever not an afterthought. Okay, so for paid ads, it's pretty straightforward, okay? A lot of times people complicate what is actually going on in Ads Manager, and honestly, 10 years ago, this would have been a lot more complicated. There's a lot of new things, and actually things that I'm reconsidering, but I'm gonna build an ad in here for you so that you have a good framework. We're very much the mindset that you do not need to overcomplicate this, especially if you're spending less than $10,000 a day. So the majority of you people. So this is an ad account, obviously fresh off the end of this year. I'm recording this right in the beginning of, or the end of 2025 into 2026. And so budget for this one is actually dropped a little bit. It's normally spending about $2,500, $3,000 a day at peak. And heading into Christmas and to New Year's, and then the first part of January, we're going to be spending about $1,600 to $2,000, $1,800 a day. You'll see here that there is just one campaign on. Technically, this one is listed as on as well. It's not really live. So we have a conversion campaign set up. You can label it however you would like. That being said, I would keep your nomenclature, the way that you set up campaigns, similar. If you are going to jump to this part of the video, let's clarify this. If you're going to jump to this part of the video and not focus on who your audience is, or how to create content, then putting gasoline on that fire does not work, as I have already said. You're gonna go ahead and hit create campaign. You're gonna go for sales. I don't want you to go for anything else. I don't care if you're like, what is the phrase people use in our program? They're like, somebody told them to season their pixel or something like that. Don't do that. You don't need to warm up the pixel. You're going for purchases. Please go for purchases. Do not go for traffic. Do not train the system the wrong way. Go for purchases. I'm not going to turn on a catalog. You could do that if you would like. We're not looking at a catalog here. You're going to choose campaign budget. I want this to be distributed between your ad sets. The ad set is typically where a lot of the targeting is. However, we go broad, so it's really going to reach as many people as Meta sees fit because the targeting is really done at the ad level. That being said, some people will say to use interest targeting, and then you'll see whenever you choose interest targeting that the system will say, we're going to expand past that reach. So you're essentially going broad as well. So it really doesn't matter. Campaign budget, choose a budget. Whether you're at $50 a day, $100 a day, $10,000 a day, choose a budget. And what I tell people is if this is your first time running ads, pick a budget that you can run forever. I never want you to turn off ads again. Maybe that sounds crazy, but you should always be learning. You should always be testing. And if you are doing things organically and then you put paid with this, you're going to get better. If you continue to get yourself out of the market, I look at this as kind of like the stock market. Maybe some of you guys are glazing over right now with math and numbers. So I'll make this very simple. If you picked and you stayed in the stock market every single day since 1900, but you missed the 3 best days and you didn't time them perfectly, you would have lost a significant amount of money because you cannot time the market. So just stay in the game. Continue to take this, right? Or for my finance nerds out there, right? You're going to dollar cost average every single day. You're going to focus on making sure that you stay in this game. I don't care what your budget is. It should be a budget that you can run forever. Scrolling through here, we're not going to mess with audience segments. We're not going to worry about any of those things. We're literally just going to leave it as broad. Age, gender, location, whatever your country is, please choose gender. If you do not know who your customer is, again, go see part 1 or section 1 of this video. We're going to go for website conversions. Okay, we're going to maximize those conversions. They call it, we used to call it a pixel. They call it a data set now. It's like, we labeled this, I guess, inside of here, right, as the ads pixel for Shopify. You can label your pixel however you'd like. Again, they've changed the name now to be called a data set. Probably mostly to just confuse everybody. All right, attribution model, don't worry about doing an incremental attribution model. Choose standard. This is optimized delivery for a selected time window and engagement type based on attribution settings. Essentially, it's saying within a certain time period, we're going to count purchases and we want to optimize for purchases in that time period. If you are running ads and you are trying to figure out, okay, for 2026, maybe 2025, you were running ads and you're doing $100 a day, $150 a day, and you only relied on the data inside of Ads Manager, I would suggest against relying only on that. There is a free version of Triple that you can use to get some data. If you're spending over $100 a day and you're using Google and Meta, or you are also using TikTok, if you're getting sales from other places, you should be using something like Triple. We do have a link in the description down below. You can go get access to that. I think it's like 15% off. If not, you don't have to use our code, but just go get a third-party attribution tool so you actually know what to track here. It's going to give you the real numbers, not just these inflated numbers inside of Meta. Don't worry about a schedule unless it's a sale. Choose a start date and let it run. Okay, so we're over on Advantage Plus placements. Okay. Really, there's not anything that I would necessarily, quote unquote, turn off. You can choose what makes the most sense for you. But we used to say, hey, only do the feeds and only do and remove basically audience network. At this stage, the platform, Meta, knows where to show your product to and with your audience. Now, when you get to the ad level, you need to make sure that it actually shows up correctly. Please look at the ads and make sure that if you have something designed for mobile, that it looks good on mobile. You have something designed for desktop, it looks good on desktop. You can crop, you can adjust. Don't just assume that Meta is going to make things look great. Some of you guys spend a lot of time in Canva making one particular design type, and then it all gets cut off because it looks really bad on mobile, and the majority of people are scrolling here on mobile. All right, so we want to scroll through here, and you can choose the ad name. Your Facebook page should show up. Your Instagram account should show up. A new thing here is Threads. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. There's not really any data that we have that says this is amazing yet. You can use, what I would suggest here is to create an ad. You can use a single image or video. That's what the majority of people do. What we previously did, and something new that I haven't even talked to our ads guy, Ryan, about actually, is Flexible. So Flexible is what people thought was a replacement for dynamic creative. If you've been around that long, then shout out to you. If you're new, basically what this allowed us to do was upload multiple images and have multiple creative styles, and a lot of people thought it was like the marketers or ads managers' lazy way of running ads. I didn't think that, but that's what some people said. Flexible allows you to do that. You can choose Flexible, and you can upload up to 10 images. Now, with the Andromeda update, not anything new that we've been suggesting, but with the Andromeda update, Meta would like the creative diversity. And one of the downsides for Flexible was that you could never see the results. If you uploaded 10 images, you could never see which image actually was successful. Inside of this Flexible campaign, or as Flexible ad, you would also want to make sure to segment images and videos. That's just, they're gonna be completely different audiences. However, rethinking through Flexible, I would look at it like this. If you have 3 ads or 4 ads that are very similar, maybe they're all graphics, maybe they're all highlighting a deal or an offer, you could put them inside of Flexible because you do not care, because you just want the best variation of your creative to do well there. You don't have a ton of diversity because they're all very similar. If you have a ton of diversity, then you would use a single image, and that is where most people are going to use that. But Flexible is a great way if you have variations of creative and you want to do it at scale. You could use Flexible and just say, hey, there's slight variations. I want it to spend, and I don't care. I want the best variation, and so I don't need the data to tell me which is better. There are only slight tweaks, and it's going to help with ad fatigue. You could use Flexible for that if you're more advanced. If not, and most people do not need to use Flexible, you could use a single image or video based off of a concept. A concept could be us versus them. So you versus, right, if you're a fitness brand, Lululemon, or if you're a streetwear brand, an athletic line or something like that, you versus represent. Think big brands, us versus them. You could do features and benefits, breaking down the benefits of your product, the features of your products. A founder story, which we talked about earlier, which is more of that connection, that storytelling piece. So you want variation of that creative. We're putting those all into ads, single images or videos, and we are getting as much diversity as possible. So I would launch with an image that's an us versus them, a video that's us versus them, like a thought reversal piece of content that's kind of founder led, a storytelling piece that's most like a founder story. I could do a flat lay with an offer. I want all of these things inside of this campaign. I do not need a new ad set for this because my angle or my focus is truly on one particular thing. Maybe it's one particular product. So you would have one product or collection that you're going after, and then you have variations of creative inside of that ad set and multiple of them. If you're at $50 a day, you could do 6, 8 different ads. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, hey, you can have 100, right? That's probably way too many. Should you have 20? I don't know. We haven't really had a lot of success with that. But as you continue to spend more, you're able to add more creative in here. Every single week, you should review your creative. Pick a day. Monday's a good day. Honestly, I like Mondays. Review your creative. The ads that are not spending or not performing or below your target, turn them off. Add in new creative. Track the testing there. You have to make sure that you track this. It is a continuation of testing, and it just never stops. Same thing with your budget. You're just never going to stop running the budget. Make sure that your ad preview is on. Make sure to put your website URL in here. You can optimize the website destinations. Again, Meta's trying to help here. There's not really a this you should do or not do. I don't do the browser add-ons. And then make sure that you've actually selected your creative. Okay, so you can upload the images or videos. They will upload there. You make sure that your pixel is on. If it's green, you're good to go. And then if you have triple whale, which like I said, you should get triple whale, you can put in that here and that will actually track it and will give you the information. Meta may give you a great, really large number or smaller number, and triple whale will give you the more accurate number, and you make decisions based off of triple whale, not off of Ads Manager. So one thing that we teach in our Optimized Store Owner program is that email should be, or SMS, kind of this retention piece, if you will. Retention, to me, kind of covers a couple of main areas. I'm going to hit on email and SMS. This third one is extremely powerful, and I have a whole video on it, but that is ManyChat, right? And there's also a tool out there called retention. We're going to hit on email and SMS here. You should, again, I hate using that word, but you should only be focusing on SMS after you've done email. So many people, especially younger brands, younger people, they're like, no, I don't check email. Trust me, email is extremely valuable. It is still alive. A lot of people make a ton of money off of this, and if you are not, you are missing out. Because one, email is the most profitable, and so if you do not do that one first and you do email first, it is almost 100 times more expensive. To give context, to send out an email costs less than a penny most of the time. For SMS, depending on if you do multimedia or if you like send an image, it's going to be 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, could be even more than that depending on if it takes more than one message to send out or more text. It's extremely expensive to do SMS. Now, I look at email as profitable, right? So this makes you profit, but SMS generates revenue. When they work together, it's extremely powerful. And in 2026, you're going to have to use both of them. If somebody adds to cart, I would send an email to them first. If they open up the email, don't buy, then sure, then send them the SMS. They're more likely, okay? They're farther down into your funnel, if you will, to be able to make a purchase. So email first, get this to 1,000 people. You want to be sending 3 to 4 emails per week. I know this sounds horrible. I talked to a lot of creative founders and they're like, man, I do not want to be doing email. I really don't want to be spending time there. I don't want to be spending time on ads. I want to be creating new products, which is why you started the brand. You should go read the E-Myth Revisited because it's an extremely good book to give you context. And the TLDR, the too long didn't read version of this, is that in the E-Myth Revisited, it talks about a baker who loved baking, used to work at a bakery, started her own bakery because she thought, hey, I can spend more time doing what I love. What she realized is that she actually bakes less. She only baked about 10 to 15% of the time, and then she had finances and marketing and taxes and insurance, and most of her time managing employees was spent on things that were not baking. And so if you're starting a clothing brand and thinking that you're going to just create new products and people are going to love them and the marketing is going to take care of itself, you are going to get a very rude awakening in 2026 because it is very saturated for people who think that is the game. It's not saturated at all for anybody who follows a framework because most people are not playing the right game. And the right game, to me, the right game here anyway, is getting and building an email list. Emailing those people, nurturing that relationship, sending 3 to 4 emails per week. Once you get 100, 200 people on your SMS list, I want you to start sending out 1 to 2 times per week, sending messages, adding value. You can do something that's a flash sale. You can do something as a promotion. I would not use SMS, to clarify, to add value a ton. I would use email to do that. It's extremely inexpensive to do. For SMS, I'm going for the right hook. I'm trying to get that purchase. So I'm spending my efforts on SMS really trying to get an actual sale. This should be about 30% of revenue. If it is not, you either have a returning customer issue, maybe you're a new brand, but most of the time people are underutilizing email and SMS because it's not sexy. Because ads are cooler, creating new products is better, finding all these new tactics on the internet are cooler, but really it comes down to email and SMS is what's going to allow you to reinvest back in ads and into the business and continue to grow, especially in 2026. Do not discount retention. Retention is where the money is made. Okay, so now you know what it takes to build a brand in 2026. Go watch this video on how to use Instagram ads to hit your goals faster right here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and P.S. make sure you subscribe.